Vitt Sale. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer and an architect with White & Company, and also a proud trustee of the Conservation Foundation. I am going to share with you today 6 minutes and 40 seconds of my connection with nature. So I want to direct you to the slides. They're going to self-advance so I don't get stuck. I want to welcome you to the kingdom of my childhood. This was a 350-acre farm in Virginia that had cornfields, cow pasture, woods, and a horse farm that was the playground of myself and my 5 siblings. And we were unstructured kids, you know, nobody had helicopter parents in those days. And I used to spend lots of time in the woods. And you remember the fall days when buckets of leaves are on the ground, and it's like walking through a box of Wheaties, you know, it kind of smells sweet and crunchy. And we used to try and play Indian, walking through the woods as silently as we possibly could. There was a vista in the spring in the woods when there was unbelievable abundance of daffodils that I stumbled on. And I couldn't believe the first time I came out of the woods and saw the daffodils. It was so memorable that it stays with me to this day. In the summer nights, my sisters and brothers and I would take blankets out into the front yard, and we would lay down on the blankets. And the number of stars overhead and the Milky Way and the shooting stars were amazing, the abundance, and I still go out at night and look for those stars, and you have to go a long way to find them now. There was the horse farm that was nearby. It was the most manufactured or manicured landscape in the area, and we used to visit with the horses, and the farm was surrounded by split rail fences. And my sisters and I used to perform concerts for the horses. So we would sit on these split rail fences, and our favorite renditions were the Hermit's Hermits, and where we would sing, "Come on, sweet pea, won't you dance with me?" And go on and on to these horses, who were very a kind audience. In the cornfields, every summer the farmer would bring us these giant feed bags full of fresh corn. And you know how they would harvest the cornfields in the middle and then around the edges, and they would open up a huge alley in the middle of the cornfields, and we would take our bikes to the top of the cornfields, which had a slope on it, and we would bomb our bicycles down the middle of these cornfields. And it was just a blast because we couldn't see anything but the corn. And on the driveway to the school bus was 7/10 of a mile. And you know, not every day in the life of a kid is a happy day. And these cows were my confidants. So these kind of faces I'd be looking at and pouring my heart out to them. To this day, I don't eat beef because of those faces. Of course there were creeks in the woods, and of course we were in the water, and of course we were slipping on rocks and cutting knees open. And I have a sister who used to love finding crayfish under the rocks. She couldn't find a rock that she didn't want to turn over. I have one sister who's a botanist, one who's an environmental engineer, and I am specializing in green design. We had a kayak that somebody foolishly left with us. And I remember the day we all decided we were playing capsize the kayak in the water. And we must have come up to the house 4 or 5 times to change our clothes, and all saying, "We fell in." And I can't believe my mom bought it. You know, trees are another playground, vertical playground for kids, and climbing trees was a big activity. And I remember finding giant crotches in trees where I would sit there and meditate what my future was going to be, and I'd have my favorite trees. There was a ring of cherry trees that were old, and they had wide branches that spread low, and I remember climbing into the trees and seeing this carpet of blooms that were like a fairy ring around me, and how amazing it was to be in this field of forest. We moved north to New Hampshire, where we were in boarding school, and we were skiing in the winters. and I actually climbed a tree in ski boots. Now, I was looking on the web to find a picture of somebody climbing a tree in ski boots, thinking nobody's going to be as dumb as I was when I was 10. And I actually found a picture of somebody in ski boots on the top of a tree. You know, it was fun to get up, but getting down was no fun. So I wasn't the only one. We would hike in these snow-covered landscapes, and the quiet in the woods with these fluffy snowflakes coming through, coating the branches and the ground, and that crunchiness of the fall disappeared and the quiet of the winter came. And I remember 10 years later going back to the same woods and climbing to this cave thinking, it's not going to be as good as my memory, but it was as beautiful as the first time. These days I go to national parks like my young friend here to see stunning nature, and these are the giant sequoias which grow 2,000 years old, reach 300 feet with 36-foot diameters, with root systems that are only 6 to 8 feet deep but 300 feet wide, and they drink 1,000 gallons of water a day. But when they're growing too close together, they fuse their roots and they share resources. They're just amazing beings, and I think they're one of the wonders of the world. This summer we were in Acadia National Park in Maine, and this was the one place where a sand beach came to meet the Atlantic Ocean. You know, the rest of it is forests and mountains. And one morning, my son and I did a sunrise hike. We started at 4 at the base of the mountain and climbed to Cadillac Mountain, and we're there just in time for the sunrise, which is the highest peak on the easternmost point of the continental U.S., and it was a magical moment. But this is down about a half a mile from my house. This is what I see every day when I walk my dog. This is where the autumn equinox is happening and the sun is slanting horizontally across the trees. And I am a big fan of taking pictures and posting them on Facebook because these are moments that are magical to me in my backyard. And Conservation Foundation helps that happen. And I see deer, and I see fox, and I see coyote, and I see owl. And every time I have a greeting with an unexpected visitor from the wild, I feel like it's a gift. And the more fences we put up, the fewer I see. There used to be coyotes wintering themselves in my suburban backyard and down this road. But I have to tell you that this is what became today of my magic kingdom of my childhood. This is today the 350-acre farm that provided me so many countless hours of beauty and contemplation and shaped who I am today. This has happened to us all. And this is why the Conservation Foundation is so important, because of the conservation, because of saving those open spaces and those landscapes that can help us see critters and enjoy nature. And so I'm really proud to be here today to support this. Thank you.